Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we're reviewing The Bear Season 4, and today, I can't believe it actually, but we're on our second to last episode of the season, titled Tonnato. If you haven't watched this episode yet, go check it out. It's available on Hulu. Come back, listen to the rest of our conversation, but this is your spoiler alert. All right, Sarah, hit us with the Bear-esque summary for episode 9.
Carmy takes a ride.
Oh my goodness. They do it every time, man.
They do.
Man, he goes on a ride. He has been on a ride.
It's true.
He deserves to get off the ride and eat a now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, episode title. What is yours?
Mine is Just a Second.
Ah, nice. Very good. Very good. My episode title is Salmonella.
Yeah, I almost went with that. So I'm glad that I went in a different route because for us to have 2 episodes in a row with the same name, dude, that's too many. But yeah, that's a great choice.
Okay, let's dive in. Quite an interesting penultimate episode, I will say. Different from what I expected as well. I don't know about you, but the vibes were just a little bit surprising for this one. And where we end with is also interesting. So tell me your thoughts about this second to last episode of the season.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting for what they're doing with Carmy's character this season. And I know we've talked about it a million times, but I'm going to talk about it again, that this season is so different than what we've seen from the Bear before. And the way that it's filmed, the way that it's structured, I think is doing a really good job at reflecting the emotional growth and the maturity that Carmy is experiencing in this season. And to me, this moment with Donna feels like, this is a very silly comparison, but it's where my brain went, is like when you're playing a video game and you have to pass all the levels and then you get finally to the big boss that you have to defeat. And that's what this felt like to me. You know, he's made small strides throughout, interacting better with Sydney, with Sugar, with his team. Then he had, the harder thing with Claire and all of that. And then now we're at the big boss of Donna. And we see how both of them have matured, how they are both growing. Donna talks about her sobriety and how she is trying to make amends and do all of these things. And so I found that really beautiful and also really interesting for where the show is possibly going to go with Carmy in particular, because this is so focused on him. And then outside of Carmy and Donna, the show is highlighting some of those parts about the business, and we're seeing, the investor and all of that, and working with Ibra and the crew and everything. So there's some things are happening to set up what I'm imagining is going to be a really pivotal last episode that is going to maybe change everything for the Bear. And then season 5 is going to, I would imagine, look very different than season 4. So I'm just structurally, I think we're heading on a path, and I'm not necessarily mad at where we're heading toward, but it's very interesting just where we're going with some of these characters.
Absolutely. It really feels like transformational shifts are happening. And I don't know, I'm excited for it, but I also am kind of sad about it too. It's kind of with that senior spring semester when you know that big things are happening and they're good and you've worked for them, but you also just mourn for the way that things were and have been. I thought that the ending, that few cuts and shots of the photos on the wall of like all the good times. It feels like the like end of summer camp montage, and you're like, no, I like the way things are now, but the only constant is change. And it's so good for our character that we love, Carmi, and seeing how much he is seeing with such clarity and right now about what he needs most in this time in his life. Like, we love to see it. So I think I'm going to quote something you said earlier. Like, as a TV viewer, I am sad because I love our crew together and it's one big family, as dysfunctional as it was. Like, we kind of love the dysfunction a little bit, like Carmi. As a human that cares about this character and so many of the others, like, this is so good. And yeah, it feels like the tectonic plates are shifting beneath us and we're being ushered into a new era for so many of these characters. And that's hard. It's good, but it's hard. Uh, but I think that the Donna scene is obviously the thing we've been anticipating for so long over the course of the season. And I just thought the way that Carmi responded was really beautiful. Obviously, Donna's taking accountability. She is repentant. She is aware, deeply aware of the hurt that she has caused. She's not making it about herself. She's really making it about the impacts that it has had on the people that she's cared about. So she did an amazing job. But I also love the way that the screenwriters wrote Carmi's response, because he he allows for acknowledgement and kind of the simplicity of expressing this deep care and this love that he has for her, which is so true. But I love that he doesn't also go too far and have this huge reconciliation moment and maybe say things that he wasn't ready to say yet. I love that he doesn't say, it's okay, because it wasn't. I love that he acknowledges what she did, which is taking accountability. He says, I love you. You did good. And you feel the deep care there. But I love that he is aware and mature enough to know his emotional boundaries and to not overextend and kind of give voice things that were okay that really weren't for him and were painful for him. So just the awareness he had to handle that conversation so gracefully and give his mother what she needed most, which is just, I love you right now. And doesn't have to excuse any of the things that she did or offer more reconciliation than he might have been ready for. I really love the way that the screenwriters wrote the simplicity of his response, and the act of him cooking that chicken for her, making something for her was his way to show, like, we're going to build towards this new relationship together. I'm going to care for you in the ways that I know how. And just knowing the boundaries that he had, I just thought was so wise of him. So I just love the way that that scene is written, and that the screenwriters didn't give us more than we even needed to, and have that be maybe inauthentic or overly cheesy or melodramatic to do a big moment between the two of them. Like, it actually hit closer to home because it was so simple and was so understated, but meant a lot for this character that we know this was really hard for.
And I love, like you mentioned, that it ends with him cooking a meal for her, especially given where the season starts. The whole
Mm,
thing started with him and Mikey cooking in the kitchen together, and
yeah.
Carmi
Same
casting this
kitchen.
vision for,
Yeah.
cooking together, and how all of these important moments are shared at a restaurant, shared over a meal. And so it's just yet another reinforcement of that part of Carmi that cares so deeply for people, and he does so through food. And the reason why he loves cooking is in part because that's how you care for people. So I love that, like you said, we get that moment of him saying I love you, and he says the words, and then he backs it up with an action and showing her his version of care. And it's so cute because she wants to cook for him, and he's like, no, mom, let me cook for you. And so I love that after this, big emotional outpouring, he is able to also feed into her, like literally,
Mm.
but he's able to give to her after she just gave so much to him. And so that also felt like a really beautiful exchange that these two were able to do.
Yeah. I love that she allows him to cook for her. too. I think like a previous version of themselves and they're unhealthy, just tunnel vision, like, no, but Carmi, I want to cook for you, you know? Because I totally do that too. Receiving love is a form of trust, and almost not receiving is a way to say like I don't want that, like I want to serve you, but realizing like no, to receive love from somebody that wants to love you is a beautiful thing too. I love that we get a cut, and when we cut back to the two of them, she's changed. She has on a different outfit. It's almost this respect she has for this moment that's about to happen, and she got like ready for it. And then the shot of him putting that plate in front of her, and we don't even see that much, but we can just feel how much like time and energy and meticulousness Carmi put into that dish. That was so beautiful and so well done. So I think that there was so much said without having to say that much from both of how they showed up for this moment. Her getting ready and putting on a different outfit for it as a way of showing her care for the thing that he creates for her, and then just the care and attention that we know he put into that meal was so significant as well. So, man, really spoken with 1,000 words without having to say that much between the two of them.
The other bit about that scene, or I mean, I guess it's a few scenes, but that moment that these two share is, I I loved Jeremy Allen White's just performance in this.
Oh
Obviously,
my
Jamie Lee Curtis is also doing a fantastic job. Like those two together are just
God,
phenomenal.
so good.
But when she was
Yes.
reading her list and is just like sobbing and shaking and doing all of
Yeah.
the things, at one point in time, it cuts to his face, and you can just see the little ticks in his face, the shakes of his hands. Like
Man.
he is experiencing so many emotions inside of his body that he does not know what to do with. And trying to keep it all together, trying to keep it all in as he's hearing this all, like it was so fantastic the way that he played that, and every
Oh,
little movement, every little thing that he did, just like you were saying, it feels so true to life. Like that
yeah.
is how a person would respond in that situation. It just felt so human and so raw, and didn't lean into that melodramatic version that you were talking about,
Hmm.
but it keeps it so grounded and rooted in reality. And that is how Carmi would respond in that moment. And I was just really blown away by all of that silent acting that he was
Oh my
doing as he was just receiving everything that she's pouring out on him. It was fantastic.
Jeremy Allen White is a star. Like, oh my gosh. I just believe anything that he does. You know what I mean? Like, he could play any character and I would buy it because he captures the subtleties of human emotion and how we sometimes express in these small ways, but they carry so much meaning. I think what was also significant about that performance and how he's reacting to what everything Donna is saying is you can feel that there's so much like humming within him, and all he wants to do is run. From what we know about Carmi, his survival instinct is to run, disengage, retreat, seek cover, hide, and him staying in this moment and letting all those emotions come, but not running, was his victory, his growth, his emotional development that we've seen him put so much work in. Like I felt his instinct like just burning with him to just be like, I'm so sorry. I cannot do this right now. I gotta go. They need me at the kitchen. Like I just gotta go. And I think it's significant because we see him need to do that in the wedding episode, right? Like when Donna first interacts with him, he kind of freaks out and overwhelmed, and he needs to run and retreat. And so for him to just stay in this moment and let her express, even though it's probably so overwhelming and so painful and so cathartic for him, but also just so much pain that's being drawn up. Like all of that is stewing and swirling within him. And I think his choice to stay, but also us feeling for Carmi how hard it was for him to stay and not run was all felt in that moment as well. So literally right before our eyes, fighting every internal instinct that is like screeching in his ear to go. And he chooses to stay. And we're just so proud of him. We're so proud as viewers seeing him do this time and time again and shut down and disengage and shut people out. And he stays so open and so willing to be in this moment with his mother, who's expressing some really hard things, saying things that are probably words he's been waiting to hear for years, but then also I'm sure a lot of the anger and the frustration with that too, all mixed into one. And he stays and he sits with it. And he sits with her and he responds so gracefully afterwards too. I was like, well, that's better than I would have ever done in this like moment. Man, he does an amazing job, and Jeremy Allen White truly leaves everything on the table in that scene.
Oh, it's so good. The other thing in that scene that I thought was really notable is when Donna is kind of talking about, her mistakes. She lists out the kids a few times, and it's always you, Natalie, and Richie. And she mentions
Mm,
Mikey a couple of times, but I thought it was so noteworthy
so
how many times she mentions Richie. And
yeah,
and they always
so
talk
good.
about, how are you related, and like all of the cousins and how all of that works. And we see how much care Donna has for Richie and how he really was adopted into this family and how she
That's
sees
so
him
good.
as one of her kids. And so I thought that that was really notable, because I, she didn't have to include Richie. And there's also a bunch of other cousins that exist in this universe, but no,
Yeah.
it's Carmi, Natalie, and Richie are her kids. And so I thought that that spoke volumes. And then I thought it was also interesting that when Carmi comes back, he sits and he talks with Richie for a second. And I thought that I wonder if those two things are connected in some way, or if it was just because Richie happened to be there. But I thought that that was a little notable inclusion in her speech.
That's so good. That's so good. It reminds me a lot of what Lee tells Carmi in the kitchen around, Donna has so much pain within her, but she has so much love too, like so much love to give. And the fact that she has her three kids, but her heart is so big and just welcomed with big open arms. This other kid that needed a family, needed a safe place to land. Maybe not so safe all the time, but like a place to land that's dysfunctional, but there's deep care and love that Richie needed. And she took him in and loved him like her own. I love that detail. And yeah, your observation about that. That's fascinating. Okay, we got to talk about an incredible moment at the end. Your guy, best new chef, Food and Wine magazine. Let's go. One, did you see it coming? Did you think it was Sid? Did you always know it was going to be Marcus? Thoughts on just, oh, it was so
It's so exciting.
good.
Yes. We love to see it. I did wonder if it was Marcus. I I wasn't
Mm,
fully convinced at first that it was Sid.
okay.
And then when Natalie finally gets everybody's attention and then the camera shows everybody and she has an announcement and Carmi is looking at Sydney, I was like, oh no, it's Marcus, because the
Mm,
camera is setting you up to think that it's Sid because
Sid.
Carmi thinks that it's Sid. And I was like, it can't be Sid. It has to be Marcus. And then it was
Mm,
Marcus. Ugh,
yeah.
it's so exciting. I
Oh,
love, and we even mentioned it, I think, in the last episode of we're seeing more of Marcus and there's being more time spent on him, and the fact that Carmi brings in Luca to help Marcus. Like, there has been more emphasis on him, I feel like, this season.
yeah.
And we were just talking about how, like, okay, what is this show kind of gearing up to for Marcus? And then we get this
Yeah.
announcement, which is just so exciting. We love to see it. Marcus is the best. He is just a great character, cool, calm, and collected, and this incredible creative pastry chef. And it's just so cool what he's able to create. So I love that the show has dedicated more time to him and is also presumably putting him on this track to for more people to kind of like see him, because our crew loves him and we love him, but it's going to be interesting to see how more people will see his talent and then what
Mm.
might come of that.
So good, so good. Ah, I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled. I think I audibly gasped with joy and glee. I think, yeah, the obvious expected uh, person was Sid, but I love that it's Marcus because we've seen him work so hard, season after season, honing his craft so quietly in the corner, just putting in the time and the hours. And I love that it's being recognized because I think that type of character can often be overlooked or forgotten or just like quietly doing their thing in the corner, but to see that all of that time that maybe he just felt like wasn't really sewing into anything is finally being acknowledged and seen by the best of the best must be so validating for him. I also thought it was interesting that I think it was in the beginning of this episode or maybe the previous one, but they mentioned that Marcus was part of the original crew of the beef sandwich shop, which I didn't know about. I forgot. I actually thought he came in later, like sometime after Sid. And so seeing how much transformation Marcus has gone through and how much the Copenhagen internship, apprenticeship must have supercharged his talents is really incredible. And I think it's part of perhaps what Sydney's legacy and what her talents and gifts and vision might be for this new version of the bear. Because obviously Sydney's incredibly talented and like is renowned in her craft, but when she met with Shapiro, one of the most important things that she voiced to him was, I would love to have an internship program for bringing in new talent, training them up, setting their talents on fire, and then having them come and be able to serve here. And she has vision for that, and Marcus is like the perfect example of that. Um, so I think that like what Sydney's focus and what her impact and where her talents can be used may be shifting as well, which might be uncomfortable because obviously she's got her aspirations to be the best of the best, but she can see and draw out talent in people that is a superpower that none of the other characters have. Time and time again, her encouraging Tina, her giving Marcus pointers and bringing that out of him, like she's building beyond just herself now. And I think it probably will take time for that character to like reshift to new dream for new things. But I think this accolade for Marcus is a perfect example of how maybe Sydney's role is not to be the best of the best for herself, but actually to be creating and rising up new generation of chefs that are the best of the best. And that is her legacy, is to pour into and bring up others. So yeah, I think that'll be fascinating to see how Sid's objectives and dreams might change over time. I'm sure it's painful and there's some like emotions that will come with it. But yeah, I'm excited to see how that might be woven into this whole story with the bear.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point because we've seen throughout the show how Sydney is able to like read people and wants to develop people and pour into people. And you're right, like Marcus is the perfect example of that. Oh, it's so cool to see. The other piece that I loved about this announcement for Marcus coming in this episode is the other Marcus piece is finalizing the sale of his mom's house. And so it's interesting that we have this really like mournful, sad like ending of one season and then potentially like shifting into something new professionally. So it's this like real low and then this real high that he gets in the same episode. And I found that to be pretty notable that he goes on his own little journey in this episode too. You're muted.
classic noob mistake, love to see it. No, I just say, yeah, it's so exciting to see these characters like feel proud of themselves. Uh, oh, man, we just love to see it. We love to see it so much. Okay, other big things that happen in this episode.
I mean, should we talk about the Sydney Uncle Jimmy conversation at the
Yeah.
beginning?
Yeah, yeah. Tell me your thoughts about how that unfolds.
I love seeing these different sides of Uncle Jimmy because I feel like we're
Yeah.
so used to seeing him with like Richie and Carmi and he's just like swearing at them and insulting them the whole time, but like with love, you think?
Yes,
Question
of
mark.
course.
But
Yes.
like it's such a different way of communicating than he does with Sugar, and then the way that he communicates with Sydney is very different too.
Yeah.
And so I thought that that was just so sweet that Sydney sees him and initiates the conversation. And they both are kind of like apologetic to one another, and both are so like honoring of one another, and the way that Uncle Jimmy is able to like speak into Sydney and
Yeah.
encourage her and all of those things, I thought was just really really valuable. That I don't know that they have necessarily interacted a ton in this
Mm.
show, but
Hmm.
he doesn't even need to get to know her well to be able to spot her talents and her gifts and like be so appreciative of everything that she brought to this place. I loved that conversation. I thought that it was so sweet, and it was kind of unexpected from him, but
Yeah.
I loved seeing this like softer side of Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also him even voicing to Sydney, man, it must be really hard, working with my nephew. Okay. Like just him voicing that to her, I'm sure also helped her feel seen too and a little bit more just like sometimes like you deal with dynamics and you feel like you're having to absorb all of it on your own, and when just one person sees like that must have been really hard, like and voices it to you, it just feels like they see it too and they empathize and they're giving me a pat on the back that like it was really hard and it has been really hard. And I think we haven't seen any other character on the show voice that specific dynamic to Sydney, and maybe the way that she needs to hear it, just to be like, we see that you've been dealing with a lot and it's rough, and I know how that other dude operates, so I know how hard it can be, but we see, and you've done an amazing job managing all of that. Like there's so many times that we feel like we're just absorbing silently on our own, and I think Uncle Jimmy just giving her just a little bit of acknowledgement and giving him that pat on the back of like you managed, you dealt with a lot and you did it well, must have meant so much. Yeah. I love also too that we get to see Uncle Jimmy later just heavy handed on the car horn. Like the man has range, okay? And we get to see the full spectrum. But this season, especially, I think we've seen some softer sides of Uncle Jimmy. I think about that scene with Tiffany too at the wedding, and him just voicing like, you're part of our family and you're always going to be part of our family. And how many, like similarities maybe Tiffany and Sid have in common around like not having a big family, not having a place to feel like they belong, but being enveloped into this family, and how special it is for both of them, adopted in, chosen family. It's really, really neat. So Uncle Jimmy's got some softer sides for sure, for sure.
So I think another pivotal scene that we should probably talk about is the Luca, Jess, Tina pasta
Yes,
moment.
I loved it.
Yes, say more about that because it's a great scene.
It's so good. It's so good. Uh, I love, well, one thing that I love about the scene, I love it for the character, but one thing I love about the scene is that it's so quiet, you know? Like it's so matter of fact in how it's shot. Like this is a huge moment for Tina. She's been working so hard at it, but just the quiet joy that she expresses on her face and that smile, and not needing like the big pomp and circumstance, but just for herself, like this was a win. Was amazing to see. I love that the bear didn't lean so heavily into the like, you did it, Tina. You know, like she knows, and that's all that matters. And she's proud of herself, and that triumph for her is more than enough. But I also love how Luca and Jess know exactly what Tina needs, and it's a setup and payoff of the previous conversation in an earlier episode where Luca talks about removing pressure and how sometimes that pressure can be hindering. And I love that they just do it for her. They don't say like, hey, go remove the pressure and figure out how to do that on your own. Like, I don't know how to do that. But they kind of subtly um, weave this moment together. And once Tina's done it once and knows she can do it, that's such a confidence builder for every other time she's going to do it, for every new dish that she needs to get. She knows she can do hard things. And uh, Luca and Jess's intuition to know that this is how Tina needs uh, to be ushered into this moment of confidence building for her, I think was so cool to see. So I love it. I loved it. It was great.
Oh, yeah,
How
it
about
was
you?
so good. And I love the silent exchange between Luca and Jess, cuz like
Yeah.
obviously like he sets the timer, but they both know exactly what's happening. And so but they don't make a big deal about it. They're chilling, they're like doing their little things. They're not like staring at her and like looking at the timer and then looking at her, but they're just nonchalantly doing their stuff, and then they don't say anything either. They don't even react when they look at the timer. They just
Yeah.
leave it there for her to find. And I think that that's also so smart because it's sometimes that's helpful for us to like learn a lesson ourselves instead
Yeah.
of somebody like
Mhm.
telling us that. So it was almost cool for her to be able to discover that she had done well rather than them telling her that
Mm.
she got under the 3 minutes. So I just loved how low key and chill that it was, and like you said, there's no build up, there's no like you did it, you're victorious, like none of that. It's just, oh, you accomplished your
I did
goal. And that's
that. I did.
great. And that's enough.
Gotta love Luca and Jess, man. They are adding so much to this season in these small, unexpected ways, you know, and I think that that's been really exciting to see these two new characters just step in and really come alongside this team using their intuition, their emotional intelligence, using their gifts, and helping make this team truly be better and become closer. And it's just really cool to see. Sometimes I feel like we see so many storylines of like new team members being added to existing teams, and the tension and the plot lines always, there's drama, you know, there's friction, it's not welcome, they don't really assimilate well into the team. And it's cool to just see another version of this, which is actually, yo, these people needed these new team members and they're adding so much and they're gelling well with everybody. Um, they're really bringing so much value and connection that wouldn't exist without them. So it's just cool to see another narrative of new people entering team. I feel like we just see the unhealthy, problematic versions of it all the time because it's interesting, but it's cool to see a healthy version of that too on display.
And an interesting contrast to how this entire show started, you know?
Yeah,
Like when the show starts, Carmi really is an outsider and everybody is resistant to his ideas. And then Sid also comes in as an outsider. And there's so much friction there, not just between Carmi and Sid, but Carmi and the rest of the team and Sid and the rest of the team.
yeah,
And so now, seasons later, they've developed a healthier culture
hmm,
as a restaurant and are now able to welcome in these people who bring different skill sets. So
mm,
I love that it provides that contrast. And I feel like that's what this season is doing, is taking things that we've seen before in earlier seasons and just reframing them of like, this is what this could look like in a healthier place, or this is how a person in a healthier mindset might process through a similar situation. And
Mhm.
I find that fascinating. This season is so interesting to me because it's so different than what we've seen before. I say this every single episode, but I'm so fixated on it because what an interesting way to write a TV show. Like, I feel like a lot of shows, characters change and experience emotional growth and all of that, but the fundamental pieces that make the show stay the same. But The Bear has gone, hey, our characters have changed, so the show needs to change.
Yeah.
And that's just such a different way of looking at screenwriting than I think I've ever thought of. So I'm fascinated by all of these things. Anyway, I'll stop talking about this now.
No, it's so good because it also mirrors, I think, a lot of the experience of the viewers with the experience of our characters as they're growing. Honestly, not gonna lie, I crave the dysfunction too. Like, after every episode, I'm like, oh man, like I wanted some yelling. I wanted some chaos. But that's exactly the experience that Carmi's going through, is detoxing and being free from the dysfunction and not thriving and craving it. Even Luca talks about it. Like, there's a point where at first the pressure inhibits you, and then at a later point you kind of crave the pressure. You want to be back in it again. And I feel that as a viewer. I'm like, oh, I miss just when everyone's coming in and bumping into each other, but don't I want this for these characters? And I think that tension internally that I feel is interesting because it mirrors the tension that these characters are feeling as well as they are becoming healthier and growing. So maybe I need to become a healthier viewer of the show,
Right?
uh, but that tension allows us to wrestle with, and I think unlocks new things and deeper meaning and more understanding that we have for our characters by mirroring our experience with them as well, which is kind of honestly genius of the show to do. Do I
Mhm.
Am I mad about it sometimes? Yes.
Yes.
Is it absolutely genius screenwriting? Also yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. After I feel like every episode this season, I've been like, "Oh man, I wanted I wanted chaos."
Yelling. Why are we not yelling at each other?
I love that the bear has kind of just like punked all of us. Like,
Yes.
we've
Yeah.
conditioned you to want this one thing, and now we're going, "Hey, actually that's not a healthy thing to want." And now we're all going, "Ooh, okay. I need to
Whoops.
do some like soul searching too."
Yeah, the bear's kind of flipping the mirror back on us and being like,
Mhm.
"What does this say about
Yeah.
you? That you want unhealthy people yelling at each other and you kind of get a hit off of watching that, Uh, which is so fun. It's so interesting. I'm like, yeah. Healthy growth. This isn't as fun for me to watch. Man, we love to see
It's
some unhealthy
true.
people be unhealthy together. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I love that this is showing that healthy characters and healthy relationships, or like, because I feel like health is like a spectrum, but like
Yeah.
growing towards health and becoming healthier, you can do that and it still be good writing. It can still be entertaining television.
Yeah.
Like, is something that we talk about, I think, a lot with movies on Movies and Us, our other podcast, is how like the stories that we watch influence how we see the world. And so the
Yeah.
relationships that we see depicted on screen are normalized for us. And so
Yeah.
if we always are watching things where relationships are messy and dysfunctional and abusive, like all of these things that can become normalized for us, and that's not great either. So
Mm.
I while we are having this like internal strife with this season of The Bear, I also love that they are showing that there is a way to have characters that are growing and learning and maturing, and it still be really compelling television at the same time. We don't
Mhm.
just need dysfunction and drama to be entertaining, but
Yeah.
there is a way to write a show where the characters are on that journey of health and it's still a fun show to watch. And I think that
Yeah.
that's really valuable.
I was talking to a friend the other day, and we got on the topic of shows because she's like, "Oh, what are you watching these days?" And then she asked, "What are your favorite shows of all time?" And I was like, "Well, obviously The Wire, definitely Succession's up there, and I think The Bear is really high up there." And then I had a thought that I voiced, and I was like, oh, "Do I believe that?" Well, I think it's kind of true. And I said, "I think The Bear has made me a better person." I was like, "That sounds so dramatic." But I really feel like there's so many displays of care and love in these smaller, subtle ways that are being so fully depicted in The Bear, of the way characters can see each other and know what they need and be able to satisfy those in the ways that just that person needs. And it's not big, it's not over the top, but it's in these small, subtle things. And even honestly, that when I was thinking about this with the Donna and Carmi conversation, what a beautiful model of allowing space for someone to express something hard, holding the boundaries that you need to, but also just exhibiting and expressing care without it being needing to be more than it is, uh just I guess this is also related to the conversation that we had with the Liquor Bank short film director and executive producer. Go check them out. We did a whole interview with them on Movies and Us podcast. But so much of what we talked about with that short film is that it was also meant to be a model of what caring for and calling someone higher that you care deeply about can look like, and kind of depicting what is aspirational and not just what is dysfunctional. And I feel like The Bear has done a great job of showcasing both and allowing us to see what it can look like, what our tendencies are when we are like Carmi and run and shut down, and the hurt that that can cause. But then also that there is hope and there's a possible path forward to grow and do better, and that it does take time. He doesn't have the Donna conversation in episode 3. No, he's gotten those little mini reps along the way, like you mentioned, till he hits the big boss, which is his mother and the person that has been such a source of pain, but also care and longing in his life. So it just, the Bear is so human, and it showcases the best sides of us and the worst sides of us as humans. But ultimately, these characters just care deeply about each other. And I feel like that is the heart of the show, too. So getting to see those tiny little vignettes and moments is so valuable and so beautiful to see, and so fun. Like you mentioned, it's so fun. The show is hilarious. And so being healthy can be really fun, too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So good.
who knew? Wow.
Who knew? Yeah. All right, let's give out some TV and Us awards, shall we? The first category is for Top Chef. What is your choice for this one?
You already know who I'm giving this to. I am giving it to my guy Marcus because he is one of Food and Wine's best new chefs. And I think that's great.
That was my choice too, for the same
Yes.
reason. Just the glow of that moment. I must bask in it
Ugh.
again, and we must celebrate our guy.
Mhm.
I love the little ending scene where he's sitting outside and he sends it to his dad, which feels like a huge step for him.
Yeah.
But Marcus is usually so like slow moving and just chill, but he does this big like clap thing, and I was like, this is Marcus expressing with such fullness, like that's normal for Richie. That's normal for Neil.
Mhm.
But for Marcus, that overflowing of emotion was just so cool to see from our character that's typically so even keeled, so mellow, so
Yeah.
grounded, but he just couldn't help himself. The joy overflowed in him, and that was really heartwarming to see too in his little quiet moment outside. Okay, the next category is Achievement in Chaos. What is your choice for this one?
My choice is everything that Chester is doing in this episode.
What is happening?
He is just so chaotic. He is more chaotic than the facts in this episode, which is impressive.
Yeah,
So, good job, my guy.
so good. That's a great choice. My choice for this one is Uncle Jimmy summoning the computer into the car. Can you
I
imagine being like
loved
the
that.
neighbor, just looking out your window being like, what the hell is going on out there? Just two
I
dudes
mean,
trying to get the other one to get in the car. Another day in the life in Chicago. Burps.
yeah. They're probably used to it by now, though. Like, if they're next to the bear, aka the beef, like, you'd probably be used to things like that by now.
Okay, third category is spiciest line. What is your choice for this one?
I want to give it to Marcus when Chester is spinning this whole story about somebody wanting to mentor him, and then Marcus just is like, "No, that's complete bullshit," and shuts him down immediately.
I love when Marcus gives us some spice. We
Yeah.
love to see it. Oh, it's so good. My choice for spiciest line is when Albert says to the computer, very interesting first name, the. Them two are cut from the same cloth, though. It's so funny to see.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the show's going to tee up just more of them because they're so
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, that whole little interaction with them was so funny, and then you add Uncle Jimmy laying the horn
Yeah,
on top of that, and it just becomes even funnier. Like, I loved it. I would
watch that
happily
scene
watch
again.
more interactions between the computer and, Albert. I thought that those were
They
so
troll
funny.
each other in the same way and also have that
Yes.
same like biting sense of humor that is spoken so matter of factly and deadpan at each other. It's like so fascinating to see them like realize too that the other is same, you know?
Mhm.
Oh, it's so good. All right, looking ahead, we've got our season finale queued up for us to experience. What are you hoping to see?
I mean, okay, we didn't even talk about Sydney learning what's in the
Oh, yeah,
partnership agreement. Yeah.
true.
So, like, obviously, that's a big deal now that she knows.
Yep.
Um, so we're gonna have to confront that. We only have a
Yeah.
few hours left before the clock runs out, and
Yep.
we have no more parachute. So, like, what are we gonna do? How are you gonna pay people? The question that I've been asking the whole season. The other thing that I meant to talk about this earlier, but we didn't, so I'm gonna mention it here, is Carmi getting Claire's sweater out of
Oh,
his
yeah.
closet? That I did not love. That felt creepy to me. It's fine. So I'm curious how the returning of the sweater is going to go down because that gave me a little bit of ick when it was just like right there and he knew exactly where her sweater was and I was like, "Bro, I know that you've had a thing for this girl
That
for
is weird. Yeah,
years,
I didn't
but
even.
it's a little creepy that you stole her sweater." Like, I don't love that. So
It's
I'm
true.
curious to see how the sweater returning goes and what happens next with the Claire Carmi situation because he found her sweater as he said he would do.
Oh, because when she says the like, "Go get my sweater,"
Yeah.
I read that as her being kind of cheeky. Like she's like, "There's no
Hmm.
way the sweater's still there." Like, nah, but just like
Yeah.
encouragement. But yeah, he did.
Hmm.
That is weird. I didn't think about that
Right.
at the time.
I didn't love that. And it was like you have this beautiful moment with Carmi and his mom, and it's lovely. And I was just like, oh, we're experiencing so much growth. And then it was just this ick moment. Like it's not completely gross, but there's just a twinge of it there
It's a little
that I
funky.
didn't love.
It's a little
Um,
creepy. I'd be creeped out. Well, maybe I wouldn't because I didn't register for me at the time. I was just like, "Oh, the sweater." Okay, moving on.
yeah. Well,
So
and
I'm glad
like
that your ick radar is better than mine. Please voice these things when I have scenarios that I'm telling you about that.
yes, always.
That's weird.
This is me, like, this is where I'm unhealthy and just, like, not trusting people, so, like, I don't know, I feel like I notice things that I'm like, that's not okay," sometimes a little
Yeah.
too much.
You're like, I
Um
clocked that. That's a little funky, my dude.
mhm, just a little bit. So, we'll see
Oh,
how the sweater goes, and I guess the
yeah.
other big Carmy thing that we didn't talk
Yeah.
about is him leaving the voicemail for Uncle Jimmy and
Yes.
saying, "I know how to
Growth.
fix it," and, like, what does that mean, my guy?
I
What are we doing here?
know. That's a moment where I was like, I don't think. I think you're kind of reverting a little bit, my dude, because
Mhm.
first of all, uh, it's not your job single handedly to fix it. Like, why are you assuming the responsibility of this? Second of all, if you could have fixed it, I don't think it's that easy. So there might be
Mhm.
just like an overexcitement and perhaps some tunnel vision that's happening there. But I was like, everything up until this point is so good. It's so great. Uh, he's expressing.
Mhm.
Uh, this is growth for him. He's
Yeah.
inspired. But the end, it's a little tail end of something funny. Okay, yeah. So I guess my looking ahead's Sid's reaction, because I just
Yeah.
had shock, obviously, for a while. Richie Health. Yikes. I'm scared still. It's a dark clouds looming over my head
Mhm.
since
Yep.
that one short scene that we got. I don't know if they're going to do something with that in this finale, or if it's like a seed that's going to be planted and they're going to grow it and harvest it later on in season 5, because we know the bear likes to play the long game and we love to see it because we remember everything. And then, yeah, Shapiro, like, I don't know if he's just gone now, but it feels like that was too easy. So I don't know. I feel like there's something there that's going to unfold as well. And then I actually would love to see some version of like the beef window being commercially and financially lucrative that can fuel the creative endeavor and maybe the like long-term time it needs to take to fund the bear's growth. Like, I love that the characters are thinking maybe a little bit more creatively and outside of the box from a business perspective around how to fund this thing. So they always thought the bear needs to be financially profitable, but can we find funds elsewhere, fuel that into this endeavor to give the bear a real shot and time to grow and spark and for them to figure it out? Because it takes a long time sometimes for things to get into their groove. And how do they buy themselves more time potentially? Because also, I guess the show needs to keep going as well. So yeah, I'm intrigued by that. I still don't trust Albert, TBH. I'm like, there's something slimy about him that I feel like, I don't know, it's not going to be good if he's really truly slimy. So I'm bracing myself. I'm on edge a little bit because we're seeing that Ibra and the team are trusting him with a lot. And I feel like he's the type to schmooze you, sell you something real good, and then take the money and run. And our team can't take any more losses at this point. So please, I hope that he is
Mhm.
not slimy. I think that he is slimy. So I'm bracing myself for that. Yeah.
So you don't want him to be their consigliere. Like, that's not what we're going for.
Red flag. I'm like, why are you calling yourself that, my dude? I'm
Right.
not, like, that's a little hand wavy. That's a little non-professional. It's weird. I get bad vibes from him. Bad
Mm,
vibes.
mhm. All
So
right. We will see. The other thing that I thought of while you were talking
yeah.
is Sid gonna get a star for her scallop dish?
Yes.
I still don't know
Yeah.
how stars work. I keep meaning to research this before we sit down to record, and then I just never do. So we'll see if I research this before we record the finale episode. But that's another thing that they made a big deal about in the beginning of the season. And so, is Sid going to get a star for that dish?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if so, when? Because now we have a whole new season, so maybe she gets it in the next season.
It might be the thing that they continue to dangle as like, and now
Yeah.
we're just still working for the star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amongst, I don't know, trying to pay people because we don't have a parachute anymore.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. But also there's like Uncle Jimmy who sold his home for this, which I feel like is also like news to Carmi, which is a little like reveal that happened in this episode too. So, oh yeah, we don't know what options they got, but we're invested. We're invested indeed. Okay, well, this was our review and discussion of episode 9 of The Bear season 4. You can find it available to stream on Hulu. Thank you for listening to today's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today as we continue and near the end of our journey of season 4 of The Bear. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review letting us know some of your favorite moments from this 9th episode of the season. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TVNSPod, or email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TV and Us and our other podcast, Movies and Us. We'll be back soon to discuss the season finale of this 4th season. We're very excited. Lots we feel like is going to happen, as it always does in the finale of the show. So we're very pumped for that. Hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.